Thank you so much, and thank you for having us here today. The data-driven economy is something that demonstrated its capacity even before AI became a very popular tool. I'm just back from Lviv in Ukraine, and in Lviv, the mobile operators shared their data with the city, and the city shared the data with the transportation companies, and then they actually adjusted the routes of the buses according to where more people are actually spending their time in the city. And we're talking about 5 years ago. Today, we have a lot of data, and we have tools to digest them fast, the data. So I'll address the first question actually to all the panelists, the same question, and I'll take two particular ones. AI promises to move us from just analyzing the past to shaping the future. And everybody today talks about responsible AI, especially European Union, but not only European Union. What should be the factor that will develop responsible AI tools that would allow to get the data that is accrued by the companies and corporates to make it to scale AI as a tool to shape the future? Please, maybe over to you.
First of all, thank you so much, everyone, for coming to this panel. I'm going to be a bit of a devil advocate, right? We're talking about scaling AI. Responsible is one part, but scaling AI, you need to think about cost. You cannot scale AI without thinking cost efficiency. The systems only work if you solve the right business problem. And unfortunately, in this world, to solve the right business problem, you need to look at the business processes. And in most of the organization, that's what is broken. Culture is one aspect. It's an important layer, right? However, culture will not exist without the company being proficient and efficient, right? So that's one of the first things. People, you can see all of these people here, they're eager to learn. They know that change is coming. They know that the jobs are being cut. So people will follow. So that's from the culture perspective. And responsible AI, part of the responsible AI is to be transparent. And to be transparent that the changes is coming, we are looking for efficiency, we are changing the way we operate, and we're changing our organizational structure as well. So that's my 5 cents. To you guys.
Actually, this is a very hard question, and I asked to ChatGPT. It gave me a lot of solutions, but I didn't choose any of that. I think we need to all the time to train and to teach people to create a great environment where people should change it. Like, as you mentioned that in 5 years we thought in different ways. We saw in Alberto's presentation that what happened in industry 1.0 and industry 4.0 completely different. Probably everyone thought about when AI come, but in 20 years ago when the calculator was there, teachers were protesting that our education system will be gone and people will be more robot by using this calculator. I think culture and mindset is important. You might have a technology, so you bring the technology and you want to change the company, enterprise, but if people resist and they don't want to change, it is very difficult. Therefore, the culture of design thinking, approaching like process in different way, and to give them the right to fail. When you have the fail culture, people, they don't hesitate to try. So you have to give them a chance to try. In our case, like in a government, we also see that in most cases we think a lot, overthinking, like should we do it or not? We do a lot of cost calculation, but once we're ready to apply, everything changes again. Gen AI comes and other technologies. Therefore, with one word, culture, mindset, and giving kind of empowerment to people to change all the time, whatever they have in their hand, from one point to another.
Thank you, Fariz, and over to you, On.
Yeah, so it's quite difficult to answer right now because they did it really well. So from my perspective, I come more from the technological part, I would say. But I think that the solution it's not technological. We're seeing that it's improving every day. Even that if we try to catch up, it's all the time going faster than us. So again, I agree with you about the culture, but what we need is some boundaries. This is where maybe there is a mixture between governance and culture within the companies. Because again, if you have a company that they are all eager to learn and they are all eager to use the new technology, but they don't know where to stop, they got in the wheel, so they don't do nothing at all. So this is one of the main problems. I come from like a startup perspective, and what I see is if we don't put some boundaries, we keep trying to innovate, and try new things, and we don't really try nothing at all. So even that the culture is really important, I think that we need to stop in some point. And of course, there is the costs that we said before, because we need to understand that even if we want to try everything, we cannot do it. And there will be some point, and there is like, they're all speaking about the same bubble, that we are buying chips to improve artificial intelligence in order to improve chips, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we are consuming a lot, so we need to find those boundaries. Just to finish, I think that even that we need to find those boundaries, we need to do it with an open mind, okay? I think that Europe right now, we are trying to stop the innovation, and we are putting more boundaries than the ones that we really need. So we need to find that balance between all of them.
Thank you, and over to you, Efe.
Thank you. I would also go for culture. Why? Because I think scaling responsible AI definitely requires a culture embracing experimentation, but also at the same time asking employees and everybody in the organization to commit to tangible outcomes and delivery as well, and also being mindful of the ethical implications of AI. So in absence of a culture that promotes trust, collaboration, and experimentation, I think you can invest in all of the tech stack, etc., but you won't get any results. And I think why am I able to assert this so confidently? In 5 years of operation of MEX Technology Center, which I'm leading, we have met 800 industrial companies in Turkey, and we have helped them in their digital transformation efforts. And what we have seen, there was this silo mentality. So if you do not get different departments in a company to work with each other, you cannot break down data silos, you cannot get them to collaborate, and you cannot then scale AI as well. So that would be my simple answer.
Thank you so much. And back to you, Valeria. Your company, or company that you present here, was the major investor into OpenAI, and it was one of the main accelerators of the process of accessible or AI tools that everybody could use, and not just the scientists. But now, from the other side, your company also utilizes these AI tools, and you use them also to hypothesis verification, and how you actually utilize these AI tools that everybody today is able to generate postcards for your work and for doing business.
I think now my microphone is working. So I think, first of all, you're talking about how do we move this data-driven intelligent enterprise further, right, from the simple data huddling exercise. But I do want to let the people know, if they have already operating existing data structure, they're already doing something good, because probably 75% of organizations are struggling with the right data structure. So that's one of the important things. Even if you can do the right prediction of your current state, you're already succeeding in something. If we're talking about the AI decision making, right, that we're talking about, we have to all ask ourselves a question: are we ready for this? Most of the people here sitting are probably senior executive, right? What is the main cost? What is the main question they have in their mind? Of course, it will be about cost, profit, and loss, right? That's what they're thinking about. But the main question: are they ready to outsource their decisions to AI? If AI is going to tell them fire an employee, are they ready to do it? If AI is going to tell them change your structure, change your corporate strategies, are they ready to do it? And this is the biggest problem. And this is the biggest problem because the leadership, the management team, they're all the experts. They have their own huddles. And then we go in the subject of culture, right? But the culture starts with the leadership. If the leadership is able to uptake and ensure that AI is the brain, is the decision brain, then after that we can talk about scaling AI, and we can talk about this
decision intelligence, because what we have now in most of the organizations, right, we have the current state. We can see what is data shows us for now. With the usage of AI, we'll be able to do hypothesis testing, right? We'll be able to do hypothesis testing, we'll be able to predict, and we will be able to do it faster and much better. Also, humans, us as a people, should understand we are no longer capable to do our job because we are informationally overloaded. So it's normal that we start using the technology because we are just incapable of processing so much data. So I think, to answer your question, in order for us to scale, we need to change the mind shift as well. And another point I will add, the definition of this decision in data-driven intelligence enterprise is actually 50 years old, when we did not even have an AI. And do you know how many companies even can call themselves data-driven intelligent enterprise or even intelligent enterprise? Less than 1%. Less than 1%. So what does it mean? That there is a mindset change. That's nothing to do with technology, because anyone can buy technology. Technology is expensive, but that's one thing. But it's the mindset of the leadership of how we're making decisions and the trust.
So actually we need new type of leadership, you think? People who actually get acquainted and feel comfortable with the new tools and don't feel they're...
We need to reshuffle how we think. We need to reshuffle the way that we need to, first of all, trust tools that solve the real business problems, and we need to reshuffle our mindset that we have to work in collaboration with technology. We need to change our organizational structure. There is no longer just us. We have our machines working with us together, and that's our future if we want to progress further, if we want to compete, if we want to achieve something. Because humans are just incapable to process all of the information that is available and make a sense out of it as well. What is our attention span? 5 seconds, max.
Thanks. And over to you, Faris. You are responsible, or your agency is responsible for national digital strategy. And being not only the regulator, but also an enabler, how you encourage corporates, and is it your actually function to encourage corporates here in Azerbaijan to adopt more AI tools?
One of them is a real output, like to support such kind of big event and to host such kind of panel and to bring international expertise to Azerbaijan and to discuss what's happening in different countries. We work with World Economic Forum, and we are part of the AI Governance Alliance. And there are more than 1,000 experts in that field. So we learn what's happening in different countries, starting from Tokyo to San Francisco, and share that experience and knowledge with Azerbaijan enterprises. As a part of the digital economy strategy, we started Industry 4.0 support program. We are visiting plants and factories and manufacturing companies, and we understand what's their business process, what's their production line, what's their mindset and leadership, and then we look into the processes, and then we measure their technology readiness. Like there are 5 different maturity level. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th is a full automation process. And then we measure their institutional readiness. Like, of course, you would like to have the digital roadmap, you want to go with this recipe, but in order to move process from 1 to 2nd, as you mentioned, the leadership is important. Like, people want to change, because whatever you do, you apply AI, you apply VR, you apply cloud computing, it's about transformation, it's about change. So people, they don't like change. Sometimes innovation, it seems people, something hard and something difficult thing will happen to the organization, because change makes inconvenience for people. So that's why it's very important to help people to understand that innovation will bring something easiness to their life. It's not going to take their job, it's not going to complicate their life. Therefore, we look into AI in 5 main areas as a government. First of all, we need to have human resources. So basically in schools, universities, and life learning and upskill and reskill programs are provided by us. Coursera is one of them, and Ministry of Digital Development and Transport recently created AI Academy to help different level of people. We have more than 12,000 courses on Coursera where people can learn AI and other programs. The second is about infrastructure. We have to build infrastructure, high-speed internet, data centers, collection of data, and to provide that resources to enterprises to apply the AI projects, because without infrastructure, without high-power processing machines, it is impossible to run AI applications and mainly large language models. Therefore, as a Minister of Economy, this year we purchased 1.2 petaflops size of supercomputer, and in December we are going to open this resource for all country, including academia, universities, the government agencies, and enterprises, because no one wants to invest millions in infrastructure. Only government can create this environment where everyone can use it. And the fourth one is about regulation. Regulation is also important, and this year the government and by our president, he adopted a new AI strategy, and we have more than 18 main initiatives in that strategy, and one of them is to support enterprises by giving them capital, giving them nice incentives, including tax and others, and in order they can actually run the AI projects. And the fifth one is to have international collaboration. Now we are creating a special tax regime and special techno park regimes where international companies and startups can come and work in Azerbaijan easily. We did some nice work, but still need, because we compare Azerbaijan, why should someone from San Francisco or Dubai should come to work in Baku? So we compare it in that way, and then we try to minimize all the barriers. But of course it takes time, but it's not one day work, but we work towards that, and we have prepared special program for it. And very soon you will see one AI-based concierge system where all expats will be able to get information that how they can come to Azerbaijan, where they can work, even where they can live, how their family members go to school, which schools are available in the country. So we think that technology.
No, just batteries.
Yeah, the batteries. And today our minister, Mr. Jabarov, mentioned that this innovation forum is a great platform for us to learn all stakeholders that what they want, how they want to change the policies, how we should work strategies together. And therefore we are looking for all participants to share their white papers, ideas, and and then we can actually work with all government agencies to change all such kind of processes where they can actually be happy. Because this is an ongoing process, it never stops. And every time a new activities come to the market, and we have to be very adaptable and agile. And plus, we are also working with government agencies. If you looked at the participant list today, we invited parliamentarians, we invited people from the Cabinet of Ministers, President Administration, different ministries, Ministry of Education, Science, Digital Development. So all stakeholders who actually make the change together, because one of them, if they don't support, the process doesn't go. That's why every year, this is the fifth one, I think in the sixth one, we will see the differences as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Faris. And Alan, over to you. Before AI, it took all the stages and all the titles in the international and local events. The previous rockstar was the blockchain. And the questions that I would like to address here is, what are the real-world opportunities and intersection between the blockchain and AI today?
Okay, so first of all, I did, as Faris said before, like asking ChatGPT, okay, about this question, because of course, I wanted to bring something really intelligent to tell all of you guys, so you think that I'm really intelligent, but I didn't understand at all what ChatGPT wrote me. But the reality with blockchain, I'm not sure if you are familiar with the concept, but the main idea is decentralization and trust. Okay, is it okay now? So the main idea is decentralization and trust. So where we could find real use cases, there is a lot of things, and I will move forward with them. But the main idea right now, it's like we are getting a lot of data, quite a lot of data, and we are really trusting that data, okay? And I'm not talking about hallucinations, because when we read some hallucination, we say, okay, this is fake or whatever, and maybe we could even detect, as Alberto said before. But there are some information that we are not 100% if it's true or not, even we don't know where it comes from. So there is where you really could use a technology like blockchain, okay? And the first question, because I spoke about this with a lot of people, and they told me like, okay, we have a lot of security measures right now. Why blockchain? Why to bring blockchain to the table? Okay, if AI has security, we have cybersecurity, we have everything. So the difference is when you don't trust the origin of the information, or when you need to add that layer of confidence to the information. Why? Because one simple example is like you could have your database, and tell the people, this is the database that I'm using right now, but when an auditor comes, you could change it because it's yours. You could do whatever you want. I'm not saying that they are doing it, and I don't think so, but you could do it. So with blockchain, what you have is if you record that information, and I'm not talking about all the information, because if you know, the cost is going to be really high and it doesn't make any sense. But if you record only like a hash or some kind of cryptographic measure to show that this is information that you were using, it's enough. So what we are seeing, the connection really is to give more trust and reliability to the data that we are using within AI. And on the other hand, that we spoke before, it's not only what it's bringing blockchain to AI, it's also what it's AI bringing to blockchain. So what I see right now, and I think that with agentic AI, and also with the stablecoins, that is like the new thing that maybe you are hearing, it's that we could let the agents to do wherever they want with our money. They could buy and do wherever. And why blockchain? Because it's cheaper, and also it has a personal or a particular identity. So you could be sure that you are the one saying what is happening. And this is more or less important within humans, but it's really important between agent to agent. So I think this is where we could find a point or a union between both technologies.
Thank you, and to you, Effie. You work scaling innovation in the manufacturing. So actually, how AI is helpful in your main activities?
Yes, I mean, the main promise of AI for the manufacturing, we have outlined this a couple of years ago in a World Economic Forum white paper, where we showcased 23 solid use cases, where AI is contributing in tangible terms to sustainability, productivity, as well as decision-making of humans on the shop floor. So there are some solid benefits, but it is the real challenge is to scale this. And many companies are getting stuck in what McKinsey calls pilot purgatory. And the main reason why they are getting stuck is that nobody is really tying those pilots to measurable and repeatable outcomes. And nobody is keeping employees accountable for this. What we observed in those 800 companies we helped over the last 5 years is that in manufacturing companies, typically, it is not the CEO agenda directly. The CEOs tend to delegate this to head of ITs, head of manufacturings, with a fear of missing out something. They ask managers to go and find something meaningful with AI. And then they are surprised those POCs fail and do not scale. So I think one solid advice would be the C-suite should upskill themselves first about what the promises and the risks of AI are. And secondly, I think data, we have mentioned the importance of data. I cannot overemphasize this in the context of manufacturing, because despite the promise of IoT platforms, in the last 5-10 years, much of the data still in the shop floor is, I would say, contaminated and is not of high quality to be used by AI algorithms. So therefore, basics first. Every manufacturing company should get their act together to clean up data, ensure quality, accessibility. So without going through this first difficult, let's say, hurdle, it's quite impossible to make any meaningful outcome with AI. So that would be the second advice. And third, I would say is definitely upskilling. And we are very keen on this. Why? Without getting everybody in the organization to a certain stage of digital literacy, and I include also the frontline employees as well in this sentence. So from C-suite to the shop floor operators, everybody needs to have a certain level of digital literacy. And especially in the context of manufacturing companies, we see that some companies tend to inject here and there a few data scientists, but that doesn't really help. And because you need to have really this domain know-how. Our approach, therefore, in Turkey was to get people, mid-level managers and experts, engineers, and to upskill them to become competent enough in AI and algorithms. In that way, it is much more meaningful to get results. So that would be the third advice. And I would say it's the overall governance. We talked about this in the beginning. So it cannot be the job of somebody alone in the company. So I mentioned the CEO, but typically manufacturing companies tend to ask IT, head of ITs, to deliver results with AI. Again, you need somebody to have credibility and transformation credibility in the organization to work side by side with a technical team, IT team, to deliver this. And this governance structure should also be mindful of the ethical issues associated with AI. So I would also say putting in place some proactive, let's say, governance mechanism in manufacturing companies would be the right step also. Thank you.
Thank you for this. And now to you, Elias. You represent here Ernst & Young, and they basically work with the big companies in this country, but also region-wise. And to what degree the AI adoption distinguishes between the leaders and the laggards in business community here in the region, and maybe a bigger perspective as well?
So, hi, and sorry about the delayed entrance. Apparently I had it scheduled.
I just owe you an extra question, so no worries.
Thank you, thank you. I had it at 1 p.m. Greek time, which turned out to be 2 in the calendar, obviously. So sorry, I was like, it's an hour earlier. Interesting. Happens. So I think that this pilotitis thing is the classical problem right now we're stuck with. And it may be interesting to say how I see, a professor of mine was saying every generalization is false, including this one. So what I'm going to say does not apply to everybody. But conceptually, I think the US has realized that things are moving. There's use cases that make clear sense. They move ahead, they put in production, and they get the benefits. Even if after 6 months things need to change, you've already made your money. You've learned things. You've adjusted the organization. You've made them understand that how these things work. The Middle East is not quite sure exactly what it wants to do, but has a lot of cash. And what happens is they say we're going to split some tens of millions to different consultants and let them compete with each other to see how they make me shine, which is a completely different approach. But at the end of the day, they get a lot of value just because they have people trying to do the best there is to make their clients shine. Europe, on the other hand, and I know we're bashing Europe very often, at least in Europe, but or in the US, they bash Europe a lot. What happens is they say, let me run a use case identification project for 6 months. Let me run a use case prioritization project where I will run another project to define the criteria through which I'm going to prioritize. Let me get a consensus, let me get a committee, a prioritization committee. And then maybe after a year, they've identified the use case they want to prioritize, basically based on who has the budget in the organization rather than any serious criterion. Then they start implementing the use case, and then it never goes into production because of regulatory fears. Okay? So at the end of the day, they are square zero. Obviously, it does not apply to everybody, but it's very difficult in Europe for things to move, which is a problem. So for me, this is one aspect. The mentality by which you approach the problem is one issue. The other is there's a lot of companies that see the AI problem as a technology problem only. Obviously, there's a technology angle and there's a data angle, massive data angle, clear. At the end of the day, though, you need to change the processes. It's not like you put a workflow and you digitize the existing process, you put an RPA and you automate a process, and now you put agentic AI and you agentify the process. The process does not remain the same. You need to redefine the process. You have the ability to combine skills that humans could not combine them easily. Finding somebody who knows finance and knows maybe design was not something you could find in the market easily. Now you have a new set of actors that can combine skills that could not be combined in the past. Therefore, what is 4I principle in the AI world? Okay, you may not need as many departments, you may not need as many hops in a process. Okay, so as much as it is a technology problem, it is at least as much a process problem. And then you start saying, yes, okay, what do I do with my people? Upskilling, reskilling, adoption, change management, versatility, resilience. I need to redesign and redefine my org structures. Who reports to whom? How many people report to me? Do more people or fewer people report to me? Maybe I report to an agent. What KPIs, what performance measures do I need to put in place to know if an agent is performing well or a person is performing well, or this combination of both? And then finally, there's responsible AI, that I need to do all of those the right way and the regulatory way, depending on the industry. And the problem there is that people see that as a burden they need to think about at the end. The concept is now responsible AI by design, the same way they said security by design, the same thing applies for responsible AI by design. And it applies to all the three other aspects. How do I build my technology, building in responsible AI? How do I manage my data, having responsible AI in my mind? How do I change the processes, having responsible AI in my mind? How do I treat my people? How do I train my people? How do I hire my people, having responsible AI in my mind? So for me, the leaders have understood that it's not an AI problem, it's a transformation problem, which is AI enabled, and it's not a one-off, it's a journey. Therefore, it's an AI-enabled transformation journey. And everybody can call it in different ways, but conceptually, unless you manage to do this internal change management that will move people forward to understand that the process will not change, remain the same, and every person will need to adapt every 2 months in doing something slightly differently, AI applications will remain POCs or slightly successful rather than massively successful. And if they are successful, then we have a societal issue more broadly, right? But I'm talking about organizations for now.
Thank you, and I promised a follow-up question. So, I just the other day read an article that was entitled "The Crash of Consulting is Coming," and when